Good day, everyone. Welcome to Accounting Expo with Abisola Abeke, your financial accounting teacher. In the last video, when I introduced bookkeeping and accounting to you, I said it's the act of identifying and recording business transactions in order to ascertain the financial position of the organization. And I said that the accounting is used for decision, that is, the record prepared at the bookkeeping stage is used to construct financial statements, which is communicated to interested parties to make decision. And I remember saying that transaction is the exchange of value that can be expressed in monetary terms. But when transactions takes place and there is no evidence that the transaction had taken place, then the purpose of bookkeeping and accounting might be defeated. So there should be a document that will serve as a proof that transaction had occurred between the business organization and the other party. So that brings us to today's topic, which is source documents. Source documents is the documentary evidence, the written evidence that proves that a particular transaction, that is exchange of value for money or is equivalent, has actually taken place. Now, during today's lesson, I'll be talking on invoice, receipts, debit notes, credit notes, petty cash voucher, and the statement of account. Now, what is an invoice? We know that credit transaction is financial events that are not backed or by an immediate payment. So for such transaction, invoice serves as the source document, that is origin of recording transaction into the books, origin of recording the source where transaction involving credit sales or purchases are recorded, where the source such transaction is the invoice. So what is an invoice? Invoice is a source document that is used when credit transaction take place. That is, when the organization sells goods on credit basis, the organization gives out a sales invoice. It will serve as a proof that they actually sold goods on credit to their customers. So the invoice will show the quantity, the quality, the name of the customers, the terms of payment, that is, when payment will be made. It will equally show the trade discount or the cash discount. It shows the terms of payment of credit sales. So to the organization selling goods, the invoice issued is called the sales invoice, but to the person buying, it is called the purchase invoice. So with the sales invoice, the organization will record into the book of accounts, which is they will record into sales day book. When the next video will be on subsidiary books of accounts. So it will be a source. It is from the invoice that information filled into the book of original entries and the principal book of accounts are gotten from. The next source document we shall be looking at is the receipt. Receipt is a source document, is a written document that serves as evidence of payment. That is, it is used to acknowledge the receipt of cash. For instance, if Bezali Stitches sold goods on credit to their customers and the customers pay instantly, the source document for such a transaction is the receipt. Receipt is an evidence of cash payment. It's an evidence of cash transaction to prove that cash transaction has taken place. The third source document we shall be looking at is the debit note. What is a debit note? Debit note is a written evidence issued by the seller to the buyer to correct an undercharge. It is called a supplementary invoice and it is written in red. Why is it a supplementary invoice? For instance, Bezali Stitches sold goods on credit to Juliana at the rate of 10,000 naira. Instead of writing 10,000 naira on the receipt, they wrote 4,000 naira, meaning Juliana was undercharged to the tune of 6,000 naira because the actual amount the goods were sold to her was 10,000 naira, but on the invoice they wrote 4,000 naira. So to correct the understatement of the amount on the invoice, a debit note will be issued to Juliana in order to increase her debt by 6,000 naira from 4,000 naira to 10,000 naira. So it is used to correct an undercharge. The next source document we shall be looking at is the credit note. Credit note is a written document, written evidence of business transaction that is issued by the seller to the buyer in order to correct an overcharge. For instance, assuming Bezali Stitches sold goods worth 5,000 naira to Juliana, and instead of writing 5,000 naira in the invoice, they sold goods worth 5,000 naira to Juliana on credit basis. And instead of writing 5,000 naira in the invoice, they mistakenly wrote 6,000 naira, meaning they have increased the actual price of the goods sold by 1,000 naira. So in order to bring down the amount, that is in order to correct the overcharge, a credit note of 1,000 naira will be issued to Juliana. Also, a credit note can be sent by the seller to the buyer when the customers return some goods that they are no longer buying. Maybe it was not what they ordered for, that the organization sold to them, or some of the goods sold to them were defective. So the next source document we shall be looking at is the petty cash voucher.
The petty cash voucher is a written evidence that proves that the petty cashier has dispensed some amount on petty expenses.
The petty cash voucher will be filled by the petty cashier and it will be signed by the person to whom the money was given to the person that incurred the petty expenses. So petty cash voucher is a source document for petty cash book. So it serves as a proof that the petty cashier has dispensed money for petty expenses. Now, the last but not the least source document we shall be looking at is the statement of accounts. Statement of account is a source document prepared by the seller to his customer to show the transaction that occurred, that is the financial transaction that occurred between the organization and the debtor, and it will serve as a reminder. It will remind the customer of the amounts to be paid by him. So it shows the transaction, it shows history of transaction between the organization, the business organization, and its customer during a particular period of time. Thanks for staying tuned to Abisola Abeke on Accounting Expo. If you have questions on source documents, kindly ask the question in the comment section below. Thank you for your time and God bless you. Have a great day. Bye for now.